potentially in an area should be something that all of the neighbors should know. I can't speak as to the application of what the building inspector did. I don't know. I'm just talking about the law that we currently have in place. We have special use permits for certain items, and we have applications for subdivisions, both minor and major. Those are the things that it filters through. So the request comes in, the application is noticed as the requirements of the law. Nothing that I have heard in terms of what the planning board has done has been out of what, the proper process.
So maybe I didn't understand the process correctly. If I'm going to build a house on my property, I go to,
Building inspector.
but he doesn't go to the planning board. When does it go to the planning board?
If you have a lot and you're able to get a building permit for that, you may only ever see the building inspector. A lot of things,
Unless you put a guest cottage.
that is a special use permit, which you have to then go to the planning board for a special use permit.
So say you have your property is 20 acres, and you build a house, and then you build your house a second house right next to it. And you have to either tear it down or move it. Now, can the building inspector give you that permit without going to the planning board?
I can't comment on that because I don't know what has been done.
Well, so.
No, excuse me, but you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to have one primary residence on a parcel, correct?
You have a residence and then structures, and that's the question, what's
Right,
the other
the
structure?
second structure, because I went through this process, can be only a certain size. Because there's a primary residence, and then there's a secondary residence. In my case, this was a special use permit for it could be a certain size.
Again, I don't know what the application is, and I'm not going to comment on that. I mean, I'm just
What's the
saying,
zoning say?
the zoning, I
Yeah.
think you should talk to the building inspector. When I say structure, I'm not
Does the planning
talking,
board member know what the zoning says in this case?
For a guest house, it's 1,000 square feet.
Well, what-
Anything,
two
anything
residents-
larger than that, you go
But
to the
aren't you
ZBA.
allowed one primary residence on a parcel?
that is correct.
Yes, and then a guest house is 1,000 square feet. Unless you want it larger, then you go to ZBA for variance.
And then the other question is, a structure doesn't necessarily have to be a residence.
Well, it can be a barn.
Correct.
Understand. But in the case, going back to this public hearing on Georgiopolis, he has, sounds to me like two primary residents on one parcel.
That's what he's telling you, demolish one.
And the plan is to.
But don't you, as Cindy says, aren't you putting the cart before the horse here?
I can't, I think we're all guessing at what the application is before the building inspector, and I would defer to the building inspector.
So I
on what
understand
the
this
application-
public hearing is if you want to the town board to push it to the planning board to decide what happens next, is that? what
Correct.
we're-
That's correct. Person has come in with an
That's the process.
application and he wants to go to the planning board, and right now, because of the moratorium, he cannot go to the planning board other than to just talk in general terms.
But the town board also could say no.
Yes.
You can, you have to stop right now because there's a moratorium, is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to ask the town clerk if notices were sent out to neighboring towns.
Yes.
They were.
And the newspaper notice.
Any other comments? All right, I'm going to make a motion, we will go back into our regular session. Under new business, for those of you who have agendas, unfortunately, talking about the Greenway, voting on the Greenway project, Greenway Compact, and the discussion and vote on the moratorium waiver request just didn't get listed. So they are going to be first under new business. So I'll make a motion that we go out of the moratorium waiver, the public hearing for the moratorium waiver request, and we go back into our regular session. Any seconds? Thank you. All those in favor? Okay. All right. Next thing on our agenda is a highway department report by the highway superintendent, Jim Myers.
Highway's doing good. doing a lot of work on Bob's Lane. Shoulder work, drainage work. We oil and stone Ridge and Woods, working on Shelley Hill now. Kind of got it. We've been on Hobbs. We're basically a lot. Trying to get ready so we can reclaim it next year. Salt point is over.
Thank you, Tim. We're all glad to see you here.
Thanks, excuse me. The whole length of it.
Okay, we had a request for bids out for communications for our highway department trucks when they are out. We only received one bid. You all have it. I actually wasn't clear about the bid, so I called. The bid is from New York Communications Company, Gesundheit. They talk about, Mr. Canaveri clarified some of my questions. We do not have to vote on this tonight, but it would be nice to move ahead on this. I don't know if anybody has any comments about this or any questions. You do, Tom, sure.
Well, when we were at the workshop the other night, Monday, I told you I was going to do a little research, and I started to get in touch with some more people. But previously, it's basically not the radios that the town needs for the highway. It's the use of the antenna or the cell site. Okay, now previously we had an agreement with the cell site that's up on Quarter Horse Way, if I'm correct. And at that time, there was a no charge for that cell site. Things transpired. The town's been charged $1,200 a month for the cell site. Okay, now, the thing that needs to be done, if it can be, is we need to look into, if we can find the minutes of the meeting, however long ago it was, to find out with that cell site agreement where the town was receiving their the usage at no charge, we have to find out if indeed there was any kind of a contract or a understanding between the person. It's also my understanding that the cell site is still there. Some parts of it were sold to NICOMCO, and we don't know if we still have access to free usage. And I don't know if Bill is aware of it at all, if he knows of anything, but basically if we could find that out, that would be great. We don't need the new radios, and what they're doing is they're going to a new digital system, okay, which is going to be extremely costly, which the town doesn't need to do, okay, because all of our communications radios are so far in fairly good shape. And it's my understanding also that in 2013 that the FCC may change some of the regulations, and I don't know if it's going to have any bearing on the new digital system.